It's an honor and pleasure. What a joy to be with so many people from all around the world. We're going to sit together for this half an hour. Um, so you might be pausing in the middle of your day, or I'm originally from California, where they are just getting going into the day. For me, though, it's nighttime. We've already lit candles for the third night of Hanukkah, which means for me that it is Erev winter solstice. I am entering what is arguably for this year the darkest night of the year. And that's a beautiful opportunity for us for practice. And it's the opportunity that I'd like to offer us today for our sit. So the essence of the spiritual path, I think, is the endeavor to uncover light in darkness, whether that's darkness in the form of a world that is not yet redeemed and light as the search for hopefulness, or darkness deep within, whether that's emotional. And even, as science and mysticism make their journey more and more and more together and come to meet, quantum physics is discovering what the Kabbalists taught us a great long time ago, which is that deep, deep darkness is pregnant with light. And so that's the imagery that I want us to take today in our sit. The Kabbalists teach that Or Zawar Tzadik, that there is a deeper light, a divine light that is hidden within darkness, and that it is the potential of the spiritual path to seek it out and to uncover it. So today, what I want to suggest as we make our way into a nice, meaty, some 20-ish minute sit together, I want to suggest that you take this imagery of light within darkness as your anchor. So that might mean calling to mind an image of a starry night. I don't know if I most recently had this experience when I was in the Sinai desert. But if you do really good camping, you've spent time in places that don't have the kind of light pollution of some of our big cities, what you discover is that you look up into a dark night sky, and what looks so dark, when we sit long enough and when we take away all of that human-made, man-made light, what we find is that dark night sky, when we look long enough, becomes wildly bathed with light, as we can see more and more and more stars. So you might take as your anchor for our sit right now an image of a starry night. If you've been practicing for a long time, you can take as your anchor the actual texture of silence, that velvety darkness that we drop into when we sit day after day and we practice that art of cultivating silence and stillness within. And if all that's a little bit too abstract, you need something a little bit more concrete, and you can start to join me now and start to feel your way into this. I'd like you to take as an anchor just an image of a single flame burning in at the heart. So this, if you're a practitioner of Musar and you work with your Ner Tamid, the Torah says that there was always a light burning in the Mishkan and then in the temple. And we, of course, follow that tradition in our holy places today. And the Jewish mystical tradition says that we also have a Ner Tamid burning inside of us. So let's get started. And you might just start by letting the hands rest on the heart. And right where they're resting, right there, if you're going to work with this image of a single flame, you can picture it right underneath the hands. So join me now in taking a comfortable seated position. If you're sitting cross-legged, that's great. And otherwise, if you're on a chair, let the feet be flat on the floor. Feel the feet coming into contact with the ground. And if your chair has a back, I want you to scoot your bum all the way back so that the back of the chair can do what it was designed to do, which is to support you to sit up nice and tall and proud. And let's make our way into our seated meditation. So gently close the eyes. And as we're making our way in, we'll bring our attention now to the breath. And let the breath begin to naturally soften the body. Lengthen out the spine. And let's just get settled here with a few cleansing breaths. So let's take our next 3 exhales out and open mouth. You can add some sound if that's where you're at right now. You can just sigh it out. And feel how that exhaling out and open mouth drives the center of gravity of the body downward. I'm going to feel your body as a container for the spacious parts of you, for your soul. Let the forehead be soft. Let the eyelids be soft. Let the tip of the tongue rest on the back of the teeth. And call to mind that image of the light that penetrates the darkness. And we're going to hold our attention there. As we inhale, giving texture to the darkness, feeling it as velvety rich. The moment before the world burst into creation, this dazzling darkness is the Tehom, Ruach Elohim merachefet al pnei hamayim. And as you exhale, focusing on that light in the darkness. And I'll guide us now as though we're all using that image of a ner tamid. Inhaling, feeling that darkness expand out to infinity. Exhaling, seeing that flame that burns at the center. And if the mind begins to wander, which it is designed to do, gently bringing it back, letting the gentleness of your attention hold on that spark of light. And as we sit today with this image of the light that is embedded in darkness, just noticing how it feels in the body to hold there. Observing what opens for you as you hold with that image of a ner tamid burning at your heart center. Inhaling ever expanding darkness. Exhaling radiant, warm, divine light. Inhaling, feeling that soft texture, limitless. Exhaling, amplifying that light within. Just a few minutes left of our sit. I want to invite you now to draw that light anywhere you need it in your body. Take that flame and feeling now where you need a little more light. Giving yourself permission now to bring that warmth, that energy, perhaps into one part of you or another that needs that today. And let's take that light now and use it to activate. I'm going to use the language of the Sfirot. But if you're more familiar with the chakras, you can go with that too. So feeling that light, that divine light at your root, Malchut, the base of your spine. Feeling it rise up your center line. Yesod, Hod, and Netzach, where your kidneys rest. Feeling it now, Tiferet. Expanding up and filling the cavity of the chest, Chesed and Gvura. Feeling that light, the throat, fifth chakra, as it passes over the void. See it now at the space of the third eye, Chokhmah and Binah. And as we close our meditation, return that light to source. See it glowing at your crown, Keter. I'd like us to take one last deep breath in together, drawing in all of that light in the dazzling darkness. Feeling how we are held. That there is always light, even in the darkest hour. And on your next inhale, you can let the eyelids flutter open. Turn the corners of the lips upward. Thank you for sitting with me today.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Sara Brandis. This is such a beautiful practice today and just perfect for some of us, the second day of Hanukkah, for others, the third night of Hanukkah. And friends, we seal the practice as we do every day by offering an opportunity for those of you who are in mourning or observing a yard site, or if it's your custom to participate in the Mourner's Kaddish, to do so. And if you're not reciting Kaddish, to stay present and offer your attention, compassion, support to those who are. Create a minyan of comfort. If you are reciting Kaddish, would like to put the name or names of anyone you're honoring today in the chat box, you can do so now or after you recite Kaddish. And thanks to Kat Esposito, who holds our text space beautifully every day, for sharing the words on the screen. And if you're reciting Kaddish, I invite you to join me by rising in body or in spirit to recite the words together. And you can unmute yourself. Yitgadal,
Yitgadal,
Yitgadash Shemei Rabbah,
Amen.
Yalma Divrach Yirutei V'yamich
V'yamich
Malchutei,
Malchutei,
Chayechon
Chayechon
Uv'yechon, Uchaye
Uchaye
Dekol Beit
Dekol Beit
Yisrael,
Yisrael,
Ba'agala V'zman
V'zman
Karib,
Karib,
V'imru
V'imru,
B'nei
Amen.
Yehi
Yehi
Shemei
Shmei
Rabba
Rabba
Mibarach
Barach
Shalom
Shalom
Lamed
U'Me'ol
Maya.
Maya.
Yitbarach
Yitbarach
v'yishtabach
v'yishtabach
v'yitgabar
v'yitgabar
v'yitromam v'yikasem
Yetadar
v'yitgadar
v'yitalev v'yishtamal pnei
v'yishtabach
d'Kudusha
v'yishtam
Baruch
v'yishtam
Val min kol
min
birchata
kol birchata
v'shirata
v'shirata
v'chachata v'nechamata Lamiran v'yalma
an
v'yimru
v'hama
Amen.
v'imru
Amen.
Shlama Rabba
Shalom
Yashaya
v'yishmayim
Chaim
v'chayim
Amen
aleinu
Yal
Yal
Yisrael v'imru
Yisrael
Shmamim
v'yimru Amen.
Shalom b'mamad
Shalom b'mamad.
Yaseh Shalom
Yaseh
Aleinu Yal
shalom
Kol
aleinu.
Yisrael
V'yal
Yal
kol
Kol
Yisrael.
Yoshvei
V'yal
Tevel
kol Yoshvei
V'imru
Tevel.
Amen.
Yimru. Amen.
Friends, thank you so much for joining us today. If you're leaving us now, we hope you'll join us tomorrow for practice. As I mentioned, we'll be here Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and on hiatus next week. Also, no yoga session next week. So just to let you know, of course, all the sessions are, as I mentioned, are recorded, and you can visit or revisit or engage with them on our YouTube channel anytime. I want to thank our teacher for today, Rabbi Sara Brandis of Awakened Body, and looking forward to some conversation with her in a moment. Everyone's welcome to stay on, either to raise a question or engage in, or just share a reflection about your experience with the practice today. If you'd like to use the time and space to stay with your practice and stay with that practice of noticing and cultivating the light within, you're welcome to do so using the container of the time in this community. And of course, we want to thank Sydney Capshan, who sponsored today's practice in honor of our beloved Cantor Lizzie Shamash, to honor her beautiful teaching and beautiful Torah on Mondays in our Jewish yoga studio. And finally, last but not least, thanks so much to Kat Esposito for holding our space. So if you do have a question, the way we do it is please put it in the chat box, and I will keep an eye on it. Hold on a second. Let me bring you back in here, Sarah. There you go. Oops. Nope. There. Where'd you go? There you are.
Maybe if I make noise.
Amy, yeah, sorry. Amy Jo, if you want to ask a question, you have to put it in the chat, I'm
There we
afraid.
go.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Thanks, Sarah. That was beautiful. Just right. Perfect. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
So I guess I wanted to, I'm curious about Awakened Body and your work that you're doing. So I wanted to ask a question that actually maybe gives you an opportunity to talk a little bit about your work and your journey, about the connection between meditation and body work.
Mhm.
This meditation, like many, invite us to bring awareness to the body. And this could have been a meditation where we were really in our heads, right? Thinking about light, but this was actually about sort of experiencing light that is actually present within the body, right? So I want to invite you to talk a little bit about that, about the connection between meditation and working with our bodies in some, as a spiritual practice.
Yes, thank you. It's a great,
that's not
thank
too
you for the
broad.
opportunity of the question.
Right.
And thank you to all of you who are sharing in the chat your experiences from today. I'm really going to enjoy reading each of those. So my own, the twists and turns of my own spiritual journey from ordination at JTS, which is a pretty heady place, to working today in the north of Israel as a hands-on healer. So that's a story for its own time.
Yeah.
But what I can say is that in my work as a hands-on healer, I use the Kabbalistic tree of life as the energetic map of the body. And you might have noticed when I said, I'm going to say the Sefirot, but if you work with the chakras. So the thing is that the Indian chakra system and the Kabbalistic tree of life, and in some ways the Chinese mapping of the body, what although they come from vastly different world wisdom traditions, what they have in common is us, actually. And on one hand, it might sound sort of wild or radical to say that the Kabbalistic tree of life is an energetic map of the body, but first of all, the Zohar is pretty close to that. And all we need to do is affirm that the very first, or I guess based on today's meditation, maybe I would say the third piece of wisdom in the Torah is that we human beings are made, in the image of God. And the Kabbalists tell us that the Kabbalistic tree of life is a dynamic map of the divine, and that this is how we look like God. And so that is where I begin with folks. And then in terms of the hands-on healing work, the essence of the work is, my own background is in Jewish spirituality and embodied spirituality, and I spent my immediate gig before transitioning to working hands-on with clients was at Or Halev, that I was IJS partners with. So holding space for intensive, deep meditation practice, and the way that I got here is just based on the conviction that the body is a keeper of profound wisdom for us. The body keeps stores our memories for us and our lived experience. And so the hands-on healing work has to do with creating a safe space, holding clients, really in a loving, safe way, and then creating space for the body to share of its wisdom in the time that it's ready. In terms of the interaction between hands-on healing and meditation, what I would say is that, I, at Awakened Body, I myself put out a 10-minute daily meditation every morning, because really to do the work of deep body listening, one needs to have some familiarity with mindfulness practice, because what we're doing is being with what the body is holding. And that's actually a skill that takes some cultivating. That being
Is that for people who are interested, that meditation, how does that work with that meditation in terms of?
Yeah, so it sort of moved around. Last year I was putting it out through YouTube, and I got sick of that. So people should, what feels best, there's a really lovely Facebook group. And if you join that Facebook group, that way it'll come to your feed each day. Basically send me a note and I'll send you an invite to the group, or it's, on the web, whatever. It's all the links. Yeah. But people should send me a note and I'll invite them to the group.
Okay, so there's another couple of questions or comments here that are relate to this, which is about, I don't know, it's something, I guess, kind of paradoxical about the binary of light and darkness, right? And you used a couple of phrases that kind of transcended the binary, like you talked about light embedded in darkness, or right, that kind of breaks through that, well, there's light, then there's dark, there's light and there's dark. Or the darkness is the light, or the light is the darkness in some way. So I wonder about you to talk a little bit about that, because a few people, including I think Aaron, had a beautiful comment here about he had an experience of walking in the forest at night when the dark of the forest didn't feel frightening, but felt warm and almost solid like a blanket and safe. That stayed with him for the whole meditation, which is a beautiful, I think, illustration of, of getting out of that binary where we say, oh no, darkness, frightening, bad, light, keeps me safe.
Yes. And Aaron, and I love that you're writing from Nova Scotia, so you have this really, you get to see this at night. We start our Jewish prayer practice each morning by wrapping in the talit, and if you're sort of coached in traditional ways to do it, you block out the light for a sec, and that feeling of being enveloped in the talit, that is exactly how it feels to me when I have the space to drop into really deep practice, that darkness as a warm blanket that envelops us. And, Mark, what you're saying about the binary of light and dark, and then transcending that binary, I would say that is really when you boil down the path of the mystic to its simplest parts, that is the essence of it. That the nature of the earth plane is such that it seems that what characterizes the earth plane as the binary,
Mhm.
and that what is true and that what we come to have a felt sense of on the mystical path is that the binary is an illusion, that all is one, God is one. And then this piece specifically about light and darkness and what I call the dazzling darkness is that, certainly the Ari teaches us, and, there's
That's
a
Rabbi Isaac Luria for people who, I'll put it
thank
in
you.
the chat. I'll put it in the
Thank
chat.
you. Thank you.
I got it.
Yes. That and this is echoed also in Hindu thought, that when we and I'll say it differently, in Kabbalah we talk about yesh and ayin, and there's a great debate among the Hasidic tradition of which one is really more authentically God-ish. Yesh meaning isness, or ayin meaning nothingness. And if I am looking for the radical source of all that is, there's a really good case to be made that it is located in no-thingness, nothingness, ayin. And so if we lay that over onto light and dark, what we find is that divinity is actually in the dazzling darkness. That is the space of radical non-distinction. And light, which gives us everything about, there would be no planet Earth without light. We are here because of our perfect distance from the sun. And yet that light, that isness, eventually is also what gives us distinctions and difference, and then eventually hatred, right? Like all of it all cascades from there. And so, yes, getting comfortable in the darkness, getting to know the darkness, feeling enveloped by the darkness. And this meditation that we played with briefly today, to really, really drop into it, what we end up finding, if once we get really comfortable in the darkness, what we end up finding is that there's just great vastness. There's no more limits. There's nothing to separate me from all that is when I'm in this space of this dazzling darkness.
Well, I have many follow-up questions, but this is great. The two things, we only have a couple of minutes, but one thing is that what came up for what I was noticing when my eyes were closed was that, what we quote see when our eyes are closed, through the eyelids. Right?
Yes.
There's the darkness, and then there's kind of those weird sparkles, and then you don't really know exactly what's going on there. But I was conscious of that, and then I thought about people who are who don't have sight, who are blind, and question about, right, how would you translate this teaching for people who are without visual sight of some kind? I don't know if you have thoughts about that, but what do you do?
Well, what I would say, a person who lives without sight is my teacher in this mode of meditation. I'm not speaking about someone in particular, but
right.
A person who is blind has so much more wisdom than I'm sharing right now about this exact way of dropping into practice, because there's just all that's possible when things are not, when we're not taking visual inputs. But related to this isn't what you just asked, but I wanted to say before we ended, if people want to play with this meditation tonight, so it's not such a good idea for the eyeballs to meditate looking at a candle, like, teenage self be damned. It's not the best idea. But a very cool way to do this meditation is exactly as you're saying, that with the Hanukkah candles tonight, you can take just a few breaths looking at the flame, and then close your eyes, and the image of it will imprint on the mind's eye, and use that as your anchor for practice. And that also can be very powerful. I like working with the Ner Tamid at the heart center, because there is one and it's there and we can use it whenever we need it. But that's a really cool visual way of doing this meditation.
Yeah, I like to describe it as the pilot light, the pilot light of the soul in that way.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, Sara, this is beautiful. Thank you so much. And it wasn't easy to find a date, I know, but it would be wonderful if we can find another one and have you come back sometime soon.
It'd be my honor. Really wonderful to sit with all of you.
Yeah, so I want to thank Sydney for sponsoring today in honor of Cantor Lizzie Shamash, and thank Kat, and thank Rabbi Sara Brandis joining us from Israel. So Chagurim Sameach there. Happy third night. those of us who are right behind you as we head into the solstice. I don't know if we say happy solstice, we could say happy solstice. And, the beautiful thing for folks, is one of the many amazing things about Hanukkah is the first days of Hanukkah, we've got this juxtaposition of increasing light on the Chanukiah and increasing darkness in the sky as the moon is waning. And then we're going to hit Rosh Chodesh, which coincides with Shabbat this year. So by the way, tomorrow we'll be led by Sara Waxman of At the Well, who leads us on or around Rosh Chodesh every month. And obviously we're not having a live sit on Rosh Chodesh this month, but will join us tomorrow. Josh will be hosting, and hope you can join us tomorrow. And as always, thanks to every one of you for your incredible devotion to holding this space and time for our collective practice. And thanks again, Sara. Thanks to all of you. Thanks, Kat.